Hi, I'm ED-SKaR, and today I'm looking at some Eschers. Well, just the one actually. But first, to explain. I have said, quite a few times actually, that Games Workshop's provision of female Imperial Guard troopers is quite poor. Sure, they have the new female heads that come with the new overpriced Cadians, but they're so poorly proportioned that they can't even shoulder their rifles properly. This particular sculpt is one of my favourites, the official Gaunt Ghost's female model from 2002, and it's literally made for the army I'm making, the Tanith First and Only. Such a badass pose. Unfortunately, this model is out of production and, is somewhat expensive. But there are quite a few third-party options for appropriately dressed female soldiers, such as the fan favourite of Victoria Miniatures. But what happens if you really want a fully official Games Workshop made model, but don't want to shell out the ridiculous cost of the official one? Well, in between the corset nun fetish and porn star demons, there are, in one corner of the wide array of products that Games Workshop sell, some punks. From the underhive of Necromunda comes the Eschers. Quite a few Tanith players will pick up a box of these to sprinkle in some female guard troopers into their army. But just how do they compare? The boots aren't exactly a Munitorum issue, and the crop top can't possibly give the armour save as a flak vest. Well, the Catechins get away with that one, so maybe it's not an issue. And once a cloak has been added, covering the entire back of the model, will being a different style even be noticeable? Well, let's try it out. This is the Death Maidens and Wild Runners expansion box for the Eschers gang, which has been loaned to me by Amethyst Quill with permission to make a single model from it, so thank you very much. I pored over the sprue and the pictures of the destructions to work out just exactly how I could manage it. And given my history with kit bashing, I fully assumed that I'd be cutting quite granularly, but overall it wasn't quite as hard as it could have been. As the Wild Runners have bows and whips, I had to drag out a lasgun from my bits box, but what I also needed was a hand to hold onto it. Rather than reusing a Cadian or Catechin hand, I had found what I thought would be the piece most likely to provide the holding a gun grip shape. This piece with the throwing knife, with the knife cut away, just about fit the shape that raked forward position of holding a gun's grip. And I cut away the grip from the lasgun to match, and after test fitting everything seemed just fine. However, as soon as I'd finished gluing the hand to the weapon, I realised that the magazine of this lasgun had been cut away. Or the power cell, whatever it's called. Rather than scrap the lasgun and grab another fully loaded one, I had an idea. I could have her reaching into a pouch grabbing another cell thing. So back to the bits box, I found some of the old Catechin pouches with a grenade, which was so perfect. Run out of ammo? Faster to lob a grenade than to reload, right? The last piece of the arms was then this right hand. I only wanted to use parts from the Eschers kit, so I went over every single right hand option. I needed an open hand that would be reaching into a pouch or for that grenade. And after weighing the options, I spotted this one. A piece for a model with a bow, knocking the arrow. By carefully cutting away the arrow so that the arrow can be reused, the hand that's left over is added to the wrist and it fits perfectly as if kind of grasping for that grenade. To top the model off, I went with an Anvil Industries cloak, and for the head? Well, just like some of the other parts, there's only one piece here that fits perfectly. Most of the Eschers wear masks, as is sensible, but one just has a cloth rag rather than all of the rest which have gas masks. So, when I go on to add modelling clay, filling out the front of the cloak as I tend to do with my Tanith models, I can join up the cloak to the neck and it will look like she's pulled the cloak around her face. And I thought that looked pretty good, but we'll see when the model's all finished. As soon as I started putting paint on the model, I noticed that the legs I had chosen have a significant number of belts and straps, an unnecessary amount perhaps. The boots are huge as we expect, but the arms are actually quite a bit more reasonable, somewhat resembling a much smaller version of the Catechins, which are oversized to begin with. With the lasgun out front and the cloak out back, I was able to paint her abs black, matching the rest of the Tanith uniform from the other models that I've painted so far, hiding the fact that she's not wearing anything approaching a guard uniform. Really, the only thing visible in the overall finished model is those boots, which I spent no time at all painting and sort of just skipped over it. This is another one of the models that I painted straight after the Gaunt Ghost command squad, and I struggled with the polarizing nature of speed versus quality. But overall, the result is one I'm happy with, and putting her amongst my other ghosts, she fits in pretty nicely. Certainly better than my joke models, although that's somewhat of a low bar, I guess. So what do you think about including some Eschers in a Tanith First and Only army? And if you got the standard Escher box available currently, how are those different styles of lasguns versus the Cantrell, Galaxy and Tanith variants? And of course there are some other bits in the box that are useful, like the Tanith do use the old auto gun, last pistol, and there's something about knives, right? I think I got off lightly by cherry picking the best parts from the box, so maybe it is a bit more difficult to make a whole box of Eschers look good as Tanith, but at least I've looked at it and the possibility, and it certainly is a possibility, if you don't pay too much attention to those boots. Well, I'm ED-SKaR, always will be, and thank you very much for watching.